It's July 14th, 2025, and a shocking trade move is shaking the globe. The US has resumed importing soybeans from Russia, a country under heavy sanctions, in such volume that Russia now ranks among America's top 5 suppliers. Is this a pragmatic economic deal or a coded message from Trump to Putin amid secret talks? Welcome to Mwaki Insights, where we dissect the narratives shaping our world. I'm your host, and tonight we're diving into this soybean surprise, the trade, the timing, the global reactions, and what it means for US-Russia relations. By the end, you'll question whether this is a trade thaw or a geopolitical chess move. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join our truth seekers. Let's uncover the beans behind the headlines. On July 10, 2025, Chinese portal Tencent reported a stunning development. The US resumed soybean imports from Russia, a nation under sanctions since 2014, in volumes large enough to rank Russia among America's top 5 suppliers. The US, a soybean giant exporting $31.2 billion in 2023-24, rarely imports beans, sourcing small amounts from Canada and Argentina. Russia, meanwhile, exported 693,000 tons to China in 2020, per FAO data, but had no recent US trade. This comes after 6 reported Trump-Putin contacts from January to June 2025. Their contents undisclosed but frequent enough to raise eyebrows. Posts on X buzz with theories. Is this a practical move to stabilize US soybean prices, down 6.61% this year, or a signal of back-channel talks? With sanctions still biting, why is Russia suddenly a top supplier? Is this about economics or something bigger? If you're finding this analysis insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the debate below. Vote in our poll. Is this a thaw with Russia, or something more? Chinese analysts via Tencent see this trade as more than beans. They call it a US nod to Russia's economic resilience under sanctions, with Trump signaling readiness for dialogue despite his tariff-heavy stance against China, which slapped a 10% duty on US soybeans in March 2025. Russia's agricultural exports hit $2.7 billion in 2024, with soybeans a growing slice, mostly to China. The timing, post-6 Trump-Putin talks, suggests a strategic play. Is Trump testing a thaw with Moscow while pressuring China, which buys 73% of Brazil's soybeans? Or is this a pragmatic grab for cheap Russian beans to offset a projected $10.25 per bushel price in 2025-26? X posts show US farmers fuming, fearing market disruption, while others see a prelude to Ukraine talks. Is this a diplomatic olive branch, or a risky move in a tense world? Europe is rattled. Tencent reports EU leaders fear this trade weakens the West's united front against Russia, especially with NATO's $60 billion 2025 defense budget aimed at Moscow. With Russia controlling 20% of Ukraine's mineral-rich land, including the Shevchenko lithium deposit, Europe worries a US-Russia thaw could dilute its leverage in peace talks. A poll suggests 70% of EU officials see this as a risk to unity. Globally, the trade shakes soybean markets. The US lost $12.8 billion in soybean exports to China in 2024 due to tariffs, pushing Brazil to dominate with 73% of China's imports. Russia's US entry could disrupt this, boosting its $2.7 billion agro sector. X posts question if Trump's focus is shifting from Ukraine to Moscow deals. Is this a pragmatic trade fix, or a crack in Western resolve? The future is a toss-up. If this trade grows, it could stabilize US soybean prices at $10.25 per bushel and add 10,000 processing jobs by 2030, while giving Russia a sanctions workaround, boosting its $2.7 billion agro exports. The G20 summit in November 2025 might see Trump and Putin leverage this for broader talks, perhaps on Ukraine's minerals. But risks loom. US farmers, already hit by a $12.8 billion China trade loss, could face market chaos, and Congress may push back on Russian imports. Europe's fears of weakened unity could spike NATO tensions, with a 1% GDP loss possible if sanctions falter, IMF 2025. Is this a step toward a US-Russia reset, or a trap that alienates allies and farmers? Russia's soybean surge to the US could open doors to dialogue, or spark a trade and diplomatic mess. Share this video to weigh in. If you found this deep dive compelling, like, share, and subscribe to Mwaki Insights. Vote below. Is this a thaw with Russia, Thanks for joining this quest for truth, and I'll see you in the next unraveling.